Richard Overton was born in 1906, when the average U.S. life expectancy was only 50 years old. Yet, Richard Overton would go on to blow past that milestone, celebrating an astonishing 112 birthdays before passing in late 2018. So what was Overton's secret to longevity? In an age where 100 years old still seems a rare feat. Well, as it turns out, the World War II veteran attributed his long life to things like starting each day with a hearty breakfast and ending it with a smooth glass of whiskey and the last of his 12 daily cigars. So prepare yourself. Richard Overton didn't follow conventional wisdom on how to live such a long life. So get ready. They say you are what you eat. And in Overton's case, his daily menu of homegrown, whole foods straight from farm to table appears to have helped him build the foundation for his longevity jackpot. And Overton spent much of his time and his early life on a Texas farm where his family grew their own fruits, vegetables, and livestock. And this gave him access to freshly harvested produce unaltered by modern processing and pesticides. Richard went organic farm to fork before it was even trendy. Overton continued cooking meals at home well into his triple-digit years. You'd find no fast or processed food in his kitchen, just good, simple, fare-like fruits, vegetables, fish, and the occasional bacon. Everything in moderation, right? He'd start each morning with eggs, grits, and biscuits to power him through until midday, meals of carrots, greens, sweet potatoes, and more. And Overton never missed his 2 daily cups of coffee, or even his evening whiskey, on the porch to unwind after a long day. Perhaps alcohol in moderation does play a role in longevity after all. And although Overton may have followed healthy eating habits with his farm-fresh foods, he did make room for some vices too. When asked about his daily consumption of cigars, even after age 100, Overton proudly declared that he smoked 12 cigars a day and had no plans to change that. Overton picked up his first cigar during World War II, where handing out stogies was sometimes used to build camaraderie. And when he returned home, his cigar habits stuck. And even as he sailed past 100 years old, Overton remained passionate about his decades-long tradition of ending each meal with a nice, smooth cigar. Towards the end, Overton did make small compromises, moving from full-size cigars to thinner cigarillos, which were easier to manage. But he did continue firing up his cigars literally right up until weeks before his passing at 112 years old. While no doctor would advise taking up cigars, Overton's defiance of the odds has researchers scratching their heads. Perhaps it was genetic blessings or the power of purpose and passion. There's still too much to uncover about the secrets behind Overton's unusually long and vibrant life. So let's continue, shall we? One thing that Overton did was stay active and independent through walks, drives, and even yard work. Most people that live to over 100 spend the later years of their life needing round-the-clock care. But Richard Overton shocked everyone when he lived entirely on his own until he was 110 years old. We're talking cooking, cleaning, driving himself to church, and tooling around town in his twilight years without anyone's assistance. Overton managed to stay active and mobile right up until the week he passed away. This World War II vet would still take solo walks around the neighborhood well into his 100s, tending to household chores like laundry and even yard work nearly every day. How is that for life goals? Overton also continued cruising around town in his beloved Ford pickup truck, running weekly errands with a valid driver license past the age 107. And his secret to stay behind the wheel for over 8 decades? Well, he credited just going slower and being extra careful. He also stayed very social with church, family, and friends. Overton loved people and never lost his zeal for socialization, which is a cornerstone habit among the longest-living communities in the world. Every Sunday, you'd find him chatting up fellow churchgoers while keeping up a 65-year perfect attendance record. Family and friends also stopped by daily to liven up his front porch. And in his late years, a new stream of friends began flocking to Overton's door, when word of his extraordinary longevity spread. America's oldest World War II veteran found himself the subject of newspaper articles, TV interviews, and even a documentary about his amazing life story, vivid memories, and sly wit. Overton welcomed it all with open arms right up until the final days of his 112 years here on Earth. After all, who turned down house calls from presidents, hotshot actors, and other A-listers? Certainly not the charismatic Mr. Overton, who grabbed life and people by the horns right to the very end. He also leaned into religion, self-reliance, and adaptability. Overton firmly believed his longevity hinged on walking close with God. Throughout his life, Overton leaned on his rock-solid Christian faith to bring meaning, purpose, and comfort, especially during 2 world wars and the Great Depression. Prayer and scripture nourished his spirit during both good times and bad. In fact, Overton's strong connection to the divine helped him develop grace in adapting to life's many changes and limitations. And while he enjoyed visitors and media fame later on, Overton prided himself on self-reliance for most of his 100-plus years here on Earth. But as his vision and mobility declined with age, he accepted the slow surrendering of activities that he once loved, but he also maintained a positive perspective, focusing less on what he could no longer do and more on the blessings each new day that it still had, like enjoying the outdoors or having a meaningful chat with a friend. He also woke up early, sticking to a routine, and found humor throughout the day. That was a typical day for Overton. During his later years, he believed consistency was key, sticking to set routines day in and day out. This started with rising before dawn without an alarm clock at nearly 4 o'clock each morning. And Overton relished the quiet solitude of early hours when he'd pray, read scripture, and watch the sunrise while eating breakfast. After a mid-morning breakfast, Overton kept busy with household chores, tending his yard, tinkering with car repairs, yes, even after age 100, as well as joining friends for afternoon drive-bys. Even when arthritis limited Overton's mobility in later years, he still woke and slept at the crack of dawn, proof that even the oldest dogs can learn new tricks. And Overton still remained obsessively punctual for his standing lunch date every evening at 2:30 p.m. Overton also stood out for his relentlessly upbeat nature. The supercentenarian maintained a youthful playfulness and enthusiasm for each new day thanks to a trademark belly laugh and spirited sense of humor he leveraged even during life's difficult chapters. Need a formula to wash away stress? Find the humor in it like Overton did. And focusing on gratitude, growth, and purpose was another thing that Overton revealed was secrets to longevity when he was interviewed by the media at age 111. He said, "Live in the present day, stay curious about changing the world, and wake up every morning with the purpose." The World War II vet chose to remain firmly rooted in the present moment rather than dwell on the past or what he could no longer do. He focused daily on what blessings he was grateful for, like watching the birds and enjoying the sunrise from his front porch swing. And well into his 100s, Overton maintained a sense of meaning and mission by generously sharing his gifts with others. He welcomed complete strangers into his home for heart-to-heart chats, volunteered for veterans groups, and tirelessly spread an uplifting message of hope. Overton also continued learning through life-changing times. He read newspapers cover to cover daily, tuned into TV and news, and initiated live debates on current events swirling around him locally as well as globally. It was this future-focused outlook that kept Overton forever young at heart. And though his body aged, his mind remained creatively stimulated and as sharp as a tack right up until the very last chapter. So the takeaway here is optimize your lifestyle for healthy longevity. While genetics may have played some role in Overton's extraordinary lifespan, his habits, his beliefs, and outlook also hold wisdom for those hoping to extend their stay here on Earth. So here are a few key themes to borrow from Overton's longevity playbook. Surround yourself with positive social connections who nourish you emotionally and spiritually. Maintain a sense of purpose and passion for each new day. Set small, achievable goals to stay motivated. Accept aging limitations with grace while focusing on the blessings you still have, and adapt to change by shifting perspective. Laughter truly is great medicine, so seek out humor and playfulness. And beyond chasing longevity for its own sake, Overton teaches us the wisdom of maximizing each moment we're given, whether it's 100 years or just one more precious day. So here's to celebrating every candle on your next birthday cake and leaving enough room for 112 of them in case you end up being a story just like the amazing Richard Overton.